guys know that God is a baseball fan?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Because he's a fan.
You know, I have proof in the Bible that God's a baseball fan. You know how I know that? Somebody tell me the first 3 words of the Bible in Genesis. What's the first 3 words of the Bible? What does it say? The first 3 words in Genesis.
In the beginning.
In the big inning. Some of y'all are thinking about that. Some of you are going to go, they're going to hit you at 2 o'clock this morning. You're going to wake up and go, oh, I know what he's talking about. In the big inning. You know, a segment of baseball, a segment of a game is an inning. In the big inning, get it? It's beginning, I know. Let me tell you one more way that I know God is a baseball fan. How many of y'all know the story of Adam and Eve? In that story of Adam and Eve, God said, Adam and Eve, you can touch everything in this garden, just don't touch that tree. Everybody say it. Don't touch that tree.
Don't touch that tree.
Okay, so we know God's a baseball fan because in that story, on that tree, Eve stole a piece of fruit. She stole first, Adam stole second, and God threw them both out. Yeah, so some of y'all are going,
Double play.
some of y'all are thinking, I don't get it. It's going to hit you this morning when you're laying in bed. You're going to wake up in the middle of the night and go, I got it, all right? Now, I'm going to tell you this too. We serve an amazing, awesome God. Would you say amen to that? Clap your hands. Give Jesus a hand. We serve an amazing God, okay? Now, listen to this. Our amazing God that we serve, He has a sense of humor. Y'all know what it means to have a sense of humor? How many of y'all have a sense of humor? Hey, God has a sense of humor. My last name is Small. Are you serious? That's funny stuff. I'm a big dude, right? My last name is Small. God has a sense of humor. Now, here's what I'm going to share with you today. You're going to hear me talk about baseball. You're going to hear me tell stories about baseball that I got to experience that God allowed to happen in my life. But here's what I don't want you to miss. This story is more than a baseball story. So if you're not really a big baseball fan, don't tune me out. Listen to what I'm saying, okay? Because this story, I like to say this story is a God story. This is something that God did in the life of a baseball player, okay? So I'm going to start this story just like this. I'm going to tell you exactly what day it was when this story starts. It was a Friday afternoon. It was January 7th of 2005, a little over 10 years ago, okay? January 7th, 2005 was a Friday. I didn't have a job in baseball. I wanted to keep playing. I love baseball and I wanted to keep playing, but I didn't have a team that wanted to sign me. I had just played 16 years professionally for a lot of teams, for the Blue Jays, the Marlins, the Oakland A's, the Diamondbacks, a little short time with the Braves. I've been all over the place, played for a lot of teams. That's exactly right, played for the Braves, exactly. So I'm sitting at home on that Friday, and I didn't have a job to go to spring training. You know what spring training is? Spring training is that place you go to, either Florida or Arizona, and you train for 6 weeks to get ready for the baseball season. So it was about 3 or 4 weeks away, and I didn't have a team that wanted to sign me. I got a call on that Friday. My agent. Y'all know what the agent does? The representative. They find you jobs, they find you teams, they get you shoe deals, they get you the glove contract, all that fun stuff. My agent calls me, and he says, Aaron, I got a job for you. I got a team that wants to sign you and bring you to spring training. And then he said something really crazy. He said, don't let this team scare you who I'm going to tell you. And I thought that was a weird thing to say. And I said, who is it? He said, the New York Yankees. Now, y'all know baseball. The Yankees, man, they've won more championships than anybody ever. Why do the Yankees want to sign me? You know, I'm almost 33 years old at that time. I've been around a bunch of different teams. I've been released or fired by a bunch of different teams. Why do the Yankees want to sign Aaron Small? So, my agent says this. He says, Aaron, I know you're religious. Okay, let me point this out. Let me just show you something. It's not about religion. It's a relationship with Jesus Christ. I'm just going to throw that in, okay? But he said, Aaron, I know you're a religious man. He goes, why don't you take the weekend and why don't you pray about it? You and your wife pray about it and you decide, you call me Monday. You let me know if you want that Yankee job. I have a wife and 2 kids too. Yeah, when you get old, man, you get this stuff, wife and kids. So it's funny how that works out, you know? So my agent said, you and your wife, Macy's her name. Her name's Macy. And she said, you and Macy pray about it, and you let me know on Monday if you want to take this Yankee job. So I called my wife at work. She was working as a secretary at a church in Athens, just not too far from here. And I called her and I said, Macy, because that's her name. Y'all falling asleep or hot? Well, I'm trying to wake you up. It's all good. I said, Macy, Barry just called. Barry said there's a team that wants to sign me and bring me to spring training. She said, who is it? I said, the New York Yankees. She said, why? That's exactly what I said. Why? Why do the Yankees want to sign Aaron Small and bring him to spring training? in baseball fans' eyes, I was nothing great. I had some years I played at the major leagues with different teams, but nothing great. You know, I wasn't worthy or good enough to play for the Yankees. Why do they want to sign me? So my wife says this. She's about 5'5", and she gets really loud when she gets excited. And the more excited she gets, the higher pitch and the squealy her voice gets. If that's even a word, squealy, or I don't know. That's what pigs do. They squeal, right? So she got real excited. And she said, "You told Barry you take that job, right?" And I said, "No, I told him we'd pray about it." Then she got really loud. She goes, "Pray about it? We've been praying since the season ended last year, and God has brought this team, and here's our answer." You ever pray for something in your life? And then when you get the answer, sometimes we don't even see the answer because we're so busy looking at everything else in our life. But here was the answer. God had answered this prayer and brought me a team, the New York Yankees. So about 3 or 4 weeks later, I pack up my car and I head down to Florida, to spring training in Tampa, Florida, okay? Now, I go into that locker room. You know what the locker room, they call it the clubhouse, where we change clothes, get ready for the game. I walk into the locker room. I start looking at names over the top of lockers in this Yankees spring training complex facility where I was going to be training for 6 weeks. One of the first names I see is he was a pretty good shortstop for the Yankees. Y'all heard of Derek Jeter? Yeah. I walk in. Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly, on the Nick thing, right? I saw him. He got slimed and everything, right? They dumped that stuff on him. He's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. But I saw Jeter's name, and then I saw like Alex Rodriguez's name. We had a teammate I play with. I love this guy, Mariano Rivera. There's a bunch of old Yankee greats. But here's my thought. I walk into this locker room, and I'm thinking, why am I here? Now, don't miss this. This is a God story, okay? This isn't me patting myself on the back, telling you how great and how wonderful I am. This is me sharing with you what Jesus did in my life, okay? So make sure you know that as we're talking about this. So spring training starts. The manager at that time, his name was Joe Torre. He was the head coach, okay? He told me this. He said, "Aaron," or Smalley they call me. They never call you by your first name. He called me Smalley. My last name's Smalley, you know, you kind of figure that out, all right? Smalley, there's really not much of a chance that you're going to make this team. You don't have a really good chance of making this team as a pitcher. He said, "But you know, we want you to do your best, and we're going to have you down in the minor leagues when the season starts." Y'all know what the minor leagues is?
Yeah.
The minor leagues is down below the major leagues.
It's where the Smokies play.
The Smokies are a minor league team. Yeah, they're a double-A team. There's a rookie, and then there's a single-A, and then a double-A, which the Smokies are, and then triple-A. They said, "We've signed you to bring you in and have you in triple-A just in case we need you later in the year if a pitcher gets hurt or something like that." So he said, "Your chances of making this team, they're really not good." So, but I thought, I'm going to go out there and show them what I can do. Spring training starts. I start pitching with this Yankees team, and I had the best spring training of my life. I was amazed at how well I was doing. I got to the last day of spring training. Joe Torre calls me into his office. He says, "Smalley, sit down." He goes, "I don't know how to tell you this." He goes, "But you pitch better than anybody in this entire spring training. You deserve to be on this team, but we don't have room for you on our pitching roster on the team, so we're going to send you to AAA." I was so excited that I was being sent to the minor leagues. Being demoted, we would call it, getting sent down. I was so excited. Joe Torre knew who I was, and Joe Torre was an amazing manager. He was a famous guy that everybody knew, but Joe Torre knew who I was. But you know what the Bible says? It says that God knew who I was before I was even formed in my mother's stomach in her womb. That's a cool thing, isn't it? That's a cool thing. So I went down to AAA in the minor leagues, and I'm starting out the season pitching, doing pretty good. And about 4 weeks into the season in AAA in the minor leagues, we had one reporter. Y'all know what the reporter does? What's a reporter do? What's a reporter do? Yeah, this guy wrote for a newspaper in Columbus, Ohio. This guy wrote for a newspaper down there. We had one. And there's a part of the story, you're going to remember this later. One reporter that followed our team in Columbus, Ohio in the minor leagues. This reporter comes to me after the first month of that season. He says, "Smalley, there's a rumor out of New York that one of the pitchers has gotten hurt, and you're going to take his place after you if you pitch in your game tomorrow night. So you're going to pitch tomorrow night, and then you're going to New York to pitch for the Yankees." I thought, wow. Now, here's the thought I had. As an athlete and as somebody who wants to do well, this isn't the thought you really want to have. But I thought, now, when I go out there and pitch tomorrow night, just do pretty good. That's not a good way to think about it. You want to do really good, right? God gave us an ability. We want to do our best for God. But I thought, don't get hurt. That was my mind. Don't get hurt. Because you know what happens if you get hurt? They're not calling you to the big leagues. We called it the show. Say the show.
The
They call
show.
the big leagues a show. The guys you watch on TV, that's called the show. Okay? So if you get hurt, they're not going to call you to the show, to the big leagues, major leagues. So I went out there the next night. How many pitchers we have here? How many pitchers? Pitchers? All right, now pitchers, you guys will really understand this. All right, pitchers, you'll understand this. I go out there in the first inning, 1 batter, 2 batters, 3 batters, 3 up, 3 down, 3 outs. Next inning, batter up, batter up, batter up, all 3 outs. Third inning, batter up, batter up, batter up. 9 straight hitters came to the plate, and they didn't get a hit. I was throwing a perfect game through 3 innings. You know what's going through my mind?
So you got a no-hitter?
You know, at that time I did, after 3 innings. You know what's going through my mind? You know what I'm thinking about? I'm going to the show. I'm not going to dance for you because I'll probably hurt myself. But I was thinking, man, I'm going to the show. I'm going to pitch for the Yankees tomorrow after I get through this game because I'm doing really well. I came out. You pitchers, you know you have the warm-up pitches in between the innings before the inning starts. I was in my 5th or 6th warm-up pitch, and I felt a muscle tear inside of my leg. In a warm-up pitch. Not even in a game, not even when they're facing a batter trying to get a hitter out. It was a warm-up pitch. I felt this muscle tear within inside my leg. You know what through my mind? There goes the show. I'm not going to the major leagues. They're not going to call you up hurt. They can't use you when you're hurt. It was early that season, in the baseball season in 2005. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go down to Florida. They call it rehabbing your muscle. I went down there for 7 weeks, and I worked on getting that muscle well so I could come back and pitch. When I was down there, here's what I want you guys to listen really close. When I was down in Florida, 2 verses in the Bible became very real to me. Very real. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. I'm going to quote it for you. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge God, and He will direct your paths. That means if you trust Him and say, God, I believe in you, that you have a plan for my life, you're going to take care of me. You know what? He's got a plan for every one of our lives. He's got great plans for your life too. So those 2 verses in the book of Proverbs became very real to me. So I was saying, God, I trust you. There's a reason I've gotten this injury and I've gotten hurt, but I trust you. So I went through my rehab. I got well. They sent me back to Columbus, Ohio to pitch for that minor league team. It was late June of 2005. This is where it starts to really get interesting. I'm going to answer questions at the end, I promise. I'm going to answer all your questions, all right? At the end of June of that year, I'm pitching for Columbus, the minor league team in Ohio. Not doing very good. Not pitching very well at all. Actually, there was one game that I was pitching, actually had 1 or 2 good innings. They came out and took me out of the game after throwing pretty well. And I said, why are you taking me out of the game? They said, well, the New York Yankees just called, and they said that they may need you to pitch in a couple days, so we got to keep you ready. So we can't let you pitch anymore. They did that one time, then they did it again about 5 days later, and then they did it again about 7 to 10 days later. You know what happened to me? I got very frustrated. You know what it means to get frustrated? Anybody ever lost their temper? Anybody ever gotten mad? I lost my temper. You know what I did on the field? I did this on the field. I was pitching in a game, and they brought me into a game, and I was going to pitch at the end of the game. It was a tie game in the last inning. Very important time. They brought me into the game, and I pitched, and I gave up the winning hit, and I was so frustrated, and I was so mad that I lost my temper. Whoever lost their temper in their life? I did this on the baseball field. I went, ah! And I was louder than that the day I did that. I lost my temper. I lost my temper, and I got very upset. Now, was it just because I gave up a hit and lost the game? No. See, I got to where